This is a steal for the Golden State Warriors after making a blockbuster trade at the NBA trade deadline. All eyes are now pointed on the buyout market and how Mike Dunleavy can improve positions of need for this Golden State Warriors team as this squad looks to make a playoff push in the Western Conference for this upcoming postseason. So we're going to break down the current state of the Warriors, what's happening in the buyout market, and why specifically Malcolm Brogdon is a steal for the Golden State Warriors in terms of buyout signings, because there are multiple moves likely on the way for Golden State. So we're going to break it all down here on this video of Warriors Digest. But folks, if you guys haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, because I know a ton of you have been just tuned into the channel after all the trade moves and all the deadline madness that has gone on for this Warriors team, and you're a part of the 68% of our viewers that haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, make sure you guys hit that sub button so you don't miss a single thing that's going on with this Golden State Warriors team as we rev up for a very, very exciting second half of this season. So without further ado, let's dive into the news, the discussion, because again, all eyes are pointed on the buyout market right now for Golden State. It's been brought up in a bunch of reports. Anthony Slater revealed after the Golden State Warriors made that Jimmy Butler trade that the Warriors are done making moves per source. Regarding trades, this is done on the NBA trade deadline day. Jimmy Butler is their lone deadline acquisition. They generated 3 extra roster spots in the 4-for-1 deal. Quinten Post, the two-way center currently starting, is expected to be elevated into one of those vacancies. And as I broke down a couple days ago, Quinten Post did have his contract converted to a full-time contract with the Golden State Warriors. So no longer on the two-way. He is now a guy that's available for the postseason. Quinten Post is going to be a postseason player for the Golden State Warriors, and the three-point shooting he's providing at the center position for this team, I think everyone is excited about that. But that means there are 2 more roster spots for Golden State here now at this point in terms of guys that they can acquire. And frankly, they are in a very good position because right now, if you have been keeping track of the cap following the Jimmy Butler move, they are about $1.3 million under the first apron. So what does that mean? That means the Golden State Warriors have a lot more financial flexibility in terms of making moves, because the reason I'm sure all of you that have been watching basketball videos have been hearing, a lot of teams are jockeying for position to get under all these tax aprons because the rules in regards to who can make what moves are dictated by these new cap rules. If you're above the aprons, and it restricts the types of players you're allowed to sign, the types of players you're allowed to bring in. And this leads us to Malcolm Brogdon, because potential buyout candidates with salaries above the 12.8 million mid-level exception: Malcolm Brogdon, Bruce Brown, Ben Simmons, and Bojan Bogdanovic. The Celtics, Nuggets, Lakers, Bucks, Wolves, Knicks, and Suns won't be able to sign these players since they are above the first apron. So this is how the field was sort of getting organized, was getting sorted into place, leading into the buyout market. Now, of course, we do have some updates in regards to one guy on this list. Of course, Ben Simmons just signed with LA Clippers, so we can't expect him coming into the Golden State. Obviously, after the Jimmy Butler deal, still having Draymond Green on this roster, he's not really a position of need. His skill set isn't that demanded by the Golden State Warriors, so no big loss there. But the big name on this list is Malcolm Brogdon. And I've seen a lot of people throw out a Bruce Brown. One thing that we do have to bring up with Bruce Brown, which if this changes, then we'll definitely be covering it out here on the channel. But Jake Fisher revealed that Bruce Brown Jr. is not a buyout candidate. The Pelicans are keeping Bruce Brown, sources said, and both sides sound open to a new deal at season's end. Brown should also have plenty of interest in free agency if he continues down his strong return from injury. Of course, Bruce Brown would be a perfect fit, would be a perfect return piece for Golden State, but it doesn't seem as if right now he is going to be a buyout candidate. He's going to stay with the New Orleans Pelicans, so you can mark him off the list the same way Ben Simmons has been marked off in terms of the high-priced buyout guys that are high-ticket items out there in terms of the buyout market. But Malcolm Brogdon is the guy that would be a steal for Golden State. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you can get him out there in the buyout market, it is absolutely perfect. And we'll take down what people are saying here right now, because Brogdon is averaging 13 points per game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists for a Washington Wizards team that has been brutal. And of course, his 3-point percentage isn't that great at 29%, but he's shot a lot higher for that over the course of his career. Of course, has been a 50-40-90 guy at points, especially those Milwaukee Bucks teams. Played really well for the Pacers, had a great stint with the Celtics, and then, of course, has been in NBA purgatory now for the last couple seasons with the Blazers and the Wizards. But he still shoots 40% on corner threes, which makes me optimistic that his jump shot just hasn't fallen off a cliff or anything along those lines, because, again, with this Golden State Warriors squad, you now have Jimmy Butler out here in the mix. Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, all these guys that are out here, they're just going to get you open looks. So when Brogdon's out there in line, same way. Buddy Hield in his most recent game ended up knocking down shots. His first game playing alongside Jimmy Butler. It's those opportunities are going to be more aligned, more there for Brogdon out here on this Warriors squad than they have been in recent seasons with the Portland Trail Blazers and the Washington Wizards. So Brogdon coming in could be huge, and we've seen a bunch of analysts already give their takes and opinions on what's going on. Moving on from Dennis Schroeder left a hole that the Warriors might need to fill. Schroeder brought in earlier this season after De'Anthony Melton, of course, had a partially torn left ACL. The Warriors acquired him in the offseason to help Steph Curry in the backcourt and had to adjust Melton's injury by trading for Schroeder. Now that Schroeder is gone, the Warriors' guard depth consists of Brandin Podziemski, Pat Spenser, and Gary Payton II. In terms of quantity, the Warriors have enough at this position, but the position requires a jolt in terms of quality for playoff reliability. So that's what people are saying out there in regards to the expectations for the buyout market. Of course, Pat Spenser has had a couple of decent games for the Warriors right now. Obviously, GP2 we know can be effective out there on the basketball court, but basically Malcolm Brogdon in terms of what he's able to provide. And this is coming from Clutch Points, Jeff Patagon. If Malcolm Brogdon were to be bought out, he would immediately vault atop the rankings in terms of most talented players on the buyout market. The Warriors can definitely use a man with his skill set. Brogdon isn't strictly a pick and roll guard like Dennis Schroeder, which means that he can be a much better fit in the Dubs offensive system that's predicated on movement and passing. Now, you might be saying, hey, Ben, you just brought up how Bruce Brown's not going to get bought out. Why on earth are we thinking Malcolm Brogdon's going to get bought out? Well, there's a couple factors. There's a couple things at play here because the goal, I'm sure not a lot of people are following what the Washington Wizards did the trade deadline this year, but they, of course, have Jordan Poole. They picked up AJ Lawson, I believe his name. No, AJ Johnson from the Milwaukee Bucks, a rookie that's, has some high upside potential. So that's a couple guards that they're going to want to play and develop out there in that Washington Wizards team. But they also made a move for Marcus Smart at this year's trade deadline, and they also made a move for Chris Middleton. Now, that's four guys that if you have on your team out there in the backcourt, they need to play minutes. And then Malcolm Brogdon on top of it, that's a fifth. And having five guys that are consistently getting run out there at that point guard, shooting guard position, that is a tough thing to do if you're the Washington Wizards. But you might say, hey, well, why not Marcus Smart? Why not Chris Middleton being the guys that are bought out? Well, they have multiple years left on their contracts, so it's a much more expensive ordeal for the Washington Wizards to buy them out right now. Whereas Malcolm Brogdon only has a half season left on his contract, so it's a guy that everyone, the entire NBA, is turning their heads to in terms of being a guy. It's a perfect buyout opportunity, a buyout candidate. So the Golden State Warriors being in a position to bring him in comparatively to these other squads, to these other teams, because there are so many teams that can't bring him in. The Celtics, Nuggets, Lakers, Bucks, Wolves, Knicks, Suns. That's a lot of teams that Brogdon would be interested in going to that are off the list. The Warriors, given their the different level of energy, the different spark, and of course how Brogdon would actually be an impact player for this team. Of course, there are guys out there on the wing that are good for this Warriors team. Podziemski has been a lot better as of late, but his 3-point percentage is could be a little bit better. People were expecting a much higher jump in the this season, but he's still only 21 years old, will be in the rotation. Buddy Hield is a guy that one night he looks like the perfect ideal, fit on this Warriors team, and then other nights you just hear so many Warriors fans ready to, bench him for the rest of the year. But those two guys are really the most reliable pieces that are out there at that point. Well, they're shooting guards, at that guard position. Brogdon can come in and just be effective out there on, both of those combo guard positions, which is a huge need for Golden State, adding some talent, especially where there's extra roster spots open. So it's a steal for the Golden State Warriors once he becomes available, once all this stuff gets in motion. But let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. Do you want to see Malcolm Brogdon on the Golden State Warriors? You guys best make it this far again. Hit that subscribe button if you're part of the 68%. Anyways, I'm signing now. Cheers.